in shape. It's up to us. It's not up to government. Government is not the solution. The Constitution and we the people are. 5, rights and responsibilities are coupled together. You can't have one without the other. 6, no branch of government has authority over another branch of government. Remember, there are 3 separate branches of government. I love these 10 self-evident truths. People give me so much static about it. I love it. 7, the agents of government are bound by the limits of the Constitution. The people are not. The Constitution is a limit to government, not to the people's rights. 8, we are a compound republic. Getting back to that, we're not a democratic republic. We are not a constitutional republic. We are a compound republic. Republics don't work on big tracts of land. They don't. Montesquieu, who wrote The Spirit of the Laws, who was a French philosopher, was probably the quintessential expert on republics. And during the Federalist Papers, Madison quoted Montesquieu. And the Anti-Federalists came back and quoted Montesquieu against him. He said, aha, you want a republic? Montesquieu said a republic's a great form of government. Aha, Madison, but you're wrong. Because our states are too big of a tract of land to even have a republic. And he said, aha, that's why we have multiple governments. We are a compound republic. See, we have a federal government that has 50 republics. And then those 50 in Michigan, that one republic is broken into 83 smaller republics. And the one republic I live in is broken down into even smaller. There's 18 republics in there. Because a township and county is about all the bigger you can have for a republic to work. How many people think that communism works? Raise your hand. Okay, how many Christians in here? Okay. Hang on to your seats real tight. Jesus practiced communism. Oh! He sure did. 12 disciples. He said, get rid of your worldly goods and follow me. And what did they do? They all came together and they worked together for the better of the group, right? That's called communism, y'all. But see, communism only works in a very, very small group. My household was a communist state. My kids, one time I told them to do something, they said, don't we get to vote on it? And I said, no, this is a tyranny and I'm the tyrant. It's a communism. You're going to do what's good for the family, I don't care. That's how it works. I put food in your belly, clothes on your back, and a roof over your head. That's how it works. Clean your room. We're not voting on anything. So see, communism works, but it only works when the people within that group have a very strong emotional tie with one another. Whereas if something bad happened to one of them, it would crush me. That's the only time communism works. This is why communism doesn't work for a country, because it's too big. And this is why a republic doesn't work from coast to coast. It's too big. But this is why things are bad, right? Because we're pushing all this power to a centralized federal government. And no longer a republic because it doesn't work. A republic only works. This is why you want to change things. The highest form of government is township government. It's the highest form of government. Now everybody's been conditioned to believe that the federal government's the highest form of government. This is why we're always told, well, you need to get involved in Washington. We need to get it all fixed there and then let it trickle down. How many people had 8th grade science? For something to trickle down, you have to start up high, right? Gravity's got to do something to it, right? So if you're starting at the bottom, where's it trickling? Nowhere. So we spent 120 years trying to fix Washington, D.C. Guess what? You're not going to fix it because nothing's trickling from the bottom. That's the lowest swamp there is. It's just like anything else. If you want to change something, look at the person in the mirror. Change that first. And change your household, change your neighborhood, change your township, change your county. If we would all take care of that, the state And Washington, D.C. takes care of itself. That's how it trickles down. But I go to township meetings all the time, and I'll see the 5 board members there and me. And me. And I ask people, how come you didn't go to your township meeting? Oh, John, I had church on Wednesday night, and on Thursday night, and on Sunday morning and evening, and then the kids had volleyball, and then we had to go to soccer, and then, you know, my one son, he's in a traveling basketball league, and you know, I just don't have time. Get your priorities straight. Without your republic, the rest of it's going to go away. The rest of it will leave if you don't have the priority of taking care of your local government. Take care of your local government, and guess what? Washington, D.C. will take care of itself. Guarantee it. You know how I know? Because our founders talk about it ad nauseum. But we failed to listen. And that's where we are with number 9. The federal government can't exist without the states. The states can't exist without the counties. Counties can't exist without the townships, cities, and villages. Townships, villages, and township, cities, and villages can't exist without the people. Thus, who's at the top of that pyramid? Not the federal government, y'all. It's we the people. Then it's the township. Then it's the county. Then it's the state. Then it's the federal government. Think of what would happen if you're sick and tired of what's going on in Indianapolis. If your counties said to the Indianapolis, no. Who collects the taxes here in Indiana? It's the township level? Do you realize government doesn't produce anything to sell, to make a profit, for money? Everybody goes, well, we're trying to get that government money. Wake up, it's not government money. They don't do anything but steal it from the townships where they collect it from you. If the townships looked at the county government and said, yeah, you know what, we collected all these taxes, but we don't like the services we're getting. Yeah, we're going to say no. It's only going to take a few, though. If a few counties in Indiana said to Indianapolis, yeah, we don't really like what you're doing with the money, no. Then Indianapolis has to look at the federal government and go, well, our people said no. I just don't have it. And the federal government has to start tightening the belt. Then what happens is they come down to the people and they want to appeal to the people. Hey, yeah, we know we did a few bad things, but you know, can we come to some agreement? Where's the true power? It's with the township, with the money. That's how Washington, D.C. gets it. Simple little 2-letter word called no. How do you correct children? As a parent, I use that word no a lot. You ever notice that as a parent you did that? And it's to bring about good behavior, right? See, Madison tells us in 10 we're supposed to use the tool of shame. This is why your representatives, and that's what we are, a republic that is representative government, your representatives should come from your neighborhoods. You should be able to see them at church. You should be able to see them on the sidewalk at some point in time. You should be able to see them in the market. You know why? Because when they do stupid things like vote for a national popular vote interstate compact bill, like my state Republican senator did, when I see him, I shame the living crap out of him. And then he doesn't come around, so I'll see his family. I'll see his cousins. I'll see his brothers, I'll see his grandpa. And when I get done shaming them, at the Thanksgiving dinner meal, they go, hey, knock that crap off, we're tired of it. Do you realize what kind of crap we're getting at the market and at the church? It brings about a change in behavior, right? Don't you train your children the same way? Isn't that how it works? See, this is why carpetbaggers are bad. When they move into an area just to run for something because they don't have any roots there. They don't have any family there. I've got a state representative that moved in from Ann Arbor into Hillsdale to run for my state representative. Mm-hmm. Right to Life gave him their endorsement, and then he took money from Pfizer. Anybody see a problem with that? Pfizer, which is the largest company that buys aborted fetal cells, and Right to Life backed him and he took money from Pfizer, and everybody's going, oh, it's just a principle, John. Yeah, it's the principle. It really is. But you know how, I can't even shame him. You know why? He doesn't have any family in the area. In fact, he moved to a new location in the area and has kept it secret. And he doesn't show up anywhere because he's afraid. For 2 years, he hasn't come to the Republican Party meetings. And you know why? Because he said, well, I didn't feel welcome there. Hey, Skippy! Let me explain a little something to you. If you can't face a hostile crowd, then you probably shouldn't have run for the job. Right?
But people will still vote for him.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? That's the problem.
He's familiar.
Because he's got an army heart.
Well, no, because he got enough money to buy the election from Pfizer and other corporate. Now, how can Pfizer from New York, how's he going to represent them? So why in the world is a corporation from New York giving him money in Michigan? Think about that. Think about that just for a second.
People that take drugs there too.
Yeah, there's huge money in that. So understand how government works. It's we the people at the top, and the township government is far more powerful than the federal government. Number 10, the people are the masters of the law and the final say over what is and is not constitutional, not the Supreme Court. Period. So, the rest of what's in that packet is some definitions. If you're not an expert in Old English, and I am not, I will stumble through reading all of this, I guarantee it. There'll be words that my tongue just will not pronounce. And there's going to be words that you're not going to understand. Because they're not common words that are used in today's modern English. I remember when I joined the service, I was over in North Africa, the Sinai Peninsula, and one of the contractors over there was a British company that were the contractors that did things. And I'll never forget the first time I got around British English. The guy was talking to me and I recognized every word as being English and I had no clue what he just said to me. Not a clue. It took me a while to get the vernacular and to understand what they were saying. I remember I sat next to a guy one day and he goes, "You nick me, mate?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Did you nick me?" And I looked at my friend and I said, "What's he asking?" He said, "Oh, he wants to know if you took his lighter." No. Why didn't he ask that? Well, he did. He said, "Did you nick me, mate?" Okay, I understood all the words, zero meaning to any of it. Okay? So if you're not an expert in Old English, I encourage you to look at these definitions so that when we start getting into the 5 genealogical documents, we start reading them, that you'll understand them. And also the Federalist Papers have some of that vernacular in it as well. It's not near as hard as it is in the 5 genealogical documents, but it's still in the Federalist Papers. So I encourage you to, before we start getting into the reading of the 5 genealogical documents, go through the definitions and look at them and see what they mean, so that when we start getting into it, it makes more sense to you as we go through. Then after that, it starts right into the 1100s Charter of Liberty. So next week, we will watch the first film of Chris Ann Hall, and I encourage anybody to look her up. She is, in my book, the quintessential teacher and student of the Constitution. She is absolutely wonderful. And I kind of have a crush on her because she's a disabled Army veteran. Ooh, yeah, Army. So she lost a couple of points when she married Navy, but hey, not everybody's perfect. So, but she's got Liberty University. She does a podcast, her and her husband CJ, and it's their ministry. She teaches 265 days a year all across the United States. and doesn't charge for it. She operates under the pleasure of God and the faith of God, and He's been good to her. So I encourage everybody to look her up and listen to her stuff, and you'll be hooked.
I was thinking she had two S's in Chris.
Does she?
One on, who's that? On the curriculum.
Okay, I might have been enamored in one book. So, but she's really good. She came to Hillsdale and spoke on August 1st, 2016, and it was great. And we got done, and my congressman, Tim Walberg, stayed around to pick a fight. Now, it's never good to bring a knife to a gunfight. That's just stupid. And that's what he did. And my campaign manager, in the middle of it, when after just about everybody left, and he decided to pick this fight with Chris Ann, he started videotaping him. Now, my congressman, he's a very conservative congressman, but it scared me. He was arguing. He told her, Chris Ann, with 218 votes, I can pass anything. She said, what do you mean with 218 votes you can pass anything? He said, with 218 votes I can pass anything. She said, what about the limits in Article 1, basically the limits in Article 1, Section 8, Clauses 1 through 18, the enumerated powers of government, what about those?
Oh, okay.
And he said, Chris Ann, with 218 votes I can pass anything. She said, by what authority do you have to do that? And he said, by virtue of I was placed there by the people. Stop. That's democracy. That's not what we're supposed to be. Democracies are horrible forms of government. We're a republic. Which means, with 218 votes, Chrissy, I can pass anything that the Constitution allows us to. If it's not written that we can, doesn't matter how many votes I have. That's the correct answer. But we've turned it into a democracy. We've got to get our republic back. Benjamin Franklin, I'll leave you with this. Benjamin Franklin was one of my greatest heroes in history. At the end of the Constitutional Convention, he left the convention hall, and a woman walked up to him and she said, so, Dr. Franklin, what have you given us? And he said, Madam, you have a republic if you can keep it. And we have failed to keep our republic. Are there any questions before we end class? Go ahead.
I just have a statement.
Go ahead.
You were bringing up the 218 votes thing there. The Heritage Foundation has been advertising about the new House resolution bill that they're trying to pass, and we have some homeschool parents in here, I think. They're trying to penalize parochial schools, private schools, and homeschools that do not teach other than traditional marriage, so you may want to look that up if you're a homeschool parent or what have you, and contact your congressman.
This is a serious problem. Madison said in the bounty payments for cod fisheries in Bay 1792, somewhere down around the 5th paragraph, he said if you do this, he said they will put schools in every county and parish, and they will pull money from the general treasury to hire teachers to indoctrinate your children. Hello?
Crystal ball.
Crystal ball. I mean, and he didn't even coach the words like calling it Histler instead of Hitler, like they do with Nostradamus. I mean, he was quite plain, way better soothsayer than Nostradamus. He warned us. But none of us bothered to pay attention because we were too busy at all the things that we were doing.
Who said that?
What's that?
Who said that?
Madison. Madison said that in the bounty payments for cod fisheries debates in 1792. Yeah, we just didn't listen. You know, I found that growing up. My dad would tell me, don't do that. Don't do this. And what did I do? I was one of those hard learners. I'd go out there and I'd do that and I'd do this. And he'd go, doggone it, I told you not to do that. But I just had to figure it out on my own, right? Because I was stupid. Well, somebody told me the other day, they said, why can't so-and-so do this, or why can't so-and-so do that? And it occurred to me, if stupid doesn't hurt, there is no learning. So, if stupid doesn't hurt, there is no learning. So stupid's gotta hurt. And I learned that growing up.
I want to protect them.
When it hurt, I learned. When I was a drill sergeant, I used that tool wonderfully. If it hurt, there was learning going on. So, all right, thank you all for coming. We'll meet back here next week, same time, 7 o'clock, and I will try to get